you lose the point of science, the joy of science and in inventing, in my opinion, you know.
Should they get a PhD? Or should they...
I mean, look.
What do you think?
Looking at the two of us, probably don't follow mine.
Why?
Follow your way. Turn them against each other, you know. So you use electrons to do this.
Okay.
We have the best inventors in the world, like 2,000 years ago. But let's not go back to the last 300 years of Greek history right now. Yeah, I mean, go like 300 years ago and tell to someone we're gonna have like phones, you know, that we're gonna have like
like video chatting and everything. The internet.
Yeah.
This is space. Welcome to an episode on the Estelle Ingenuity Podcast. I'm Stephen Estelle, engineer, CEO, and founder of Estelle Ingenuity. In our episodes, we dive into different experiences from people who specialize in technology, entrepreneurship, and other necessary elements that will help you reach your full potential in these fields. We focus in on innovative devices that will be changing our society, stories from entrepreneurs and how they maneuver through the business landscape, and how these new technologies are being used in businesses to bring value to the world. From these stories, if you are inspired to develop your own inventions and prototypes, and you want to see your innovative ideas flourish, reach out to us at estelleingenuity.com for your prototyping needs so together we can begin creating the new devices of the future. With that being said, enjoy the show, follow and subscribe to Estelle Ingenuity Podcast, and relish the wisdom from the topic you hear today. So I actually got an interesting question for you, and I think I've asked you this maybe a year and a half ago.
Okay. I'm curious now.
So with the PhD, so we talked about how you have aspirations of doing like business and the entrepreneur idea and those routes. And so for somebody out there who's listening, who maybe they have bachelor's or a master's, and let's say they're just like you, I want to start a company one day. Should they get a PhD or should they?
I mean, look.
What do you think?
Looking at the two of us, probably don't follow mine.
Why?
Follow your way.
No, so I'm curious. So give me a pros and cons. What do you think? Just what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I was driven by curiosity, you know, and I'm always driven by curiosity. And I knew that if I hadn't done this PhD, I would have stayed with curiosity my whole life, you know. The curiosity of exploring something to such a detail that nobody has done this before.
Okay.
Like in the master, I mean, I didn't do master. Okay. I came here directly from the bachelor, but in the undergrad I did my thesis, so I think my undergrad thesis is more similar to a master's thesis than what it is to a PhD thesis.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always curious, you know. You come across this thing that you find one thing, and then you open up like 10 different doors of questions, you know. Like, what's there now? And that's what I'm not comfortable with, you know. I'm not comfortable with not knowing things.
I think that's what you need to be a PhD.
Yes, that's what you need to have a PhD. Yeah. And look, I wasn't always oriented towards entrepreneurship, ideas, innovation. I kind of got the momentum here, right?
Got you.
And that's a problem with Greece in general. Nobody thinks about innovation and entrepreneurship.
But like, wasn't that like going back into like history? Didn't like I don't know too much about Greece history.
Come on, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, we have the best inventors in the world, like 2,000 years ago. But let's not go back to the last 300 years of Greek history right now. Yeah, not very. There's people who do things in Greece, and now Greece coming out of the financial crisis creates opportunities for innovation, creates opportunities for new things, right?
Okay,
and that's why I'm positive. But when I grew up, like I said, I was like in a small town, let's say, not a big one. I mean, people were just still dealing with had like agriculture stuff, the working in hotels, you know, tourism. That was the main thing in Greece.
Gotcha.
So I didn't get this exposure.
Okay, you get to the whole like International Space Station thing, though. that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's right. That's what inspired me. You know? And like there were certain people, like my teachers there in physics in my school. You know, there's my father always had new ideas. You know, let's do this, let's do this. Like whenever we were traveling, like within Greece, I was fighting with my brother.
Yeah.
and then my father was like, "Hey, come on, stop fighting. Look around. You know, open your eyes to see what's out there. You know, to do and innovate and."
That's good to have that foundation.
Yeah. You need this exposure, you need this stimulation, you know, from someone. And so anyway, when I came here, I was like, damn it, I wanna do everything, you know. And there was the TDIC at that time. They had just started, so I went into that program that I had the first year in the lean startup. And then small things, and then I realized that it's not enough. Science is not enough. You know, what you do in the lab is not enough. You need to take it out. You know. But anyway, coming back to your question, yeah, I mean, depends. If you have similar issues with what I have, you know, go for a PhD, get some exposure. You know, it also helps. You know, if you don't have to worry about your living. Like if the PhD covers, if you got a good scholarship, you know, that covers you to be there full time to work on it. On your project, you know, and your side things, then you do it. You know, if you have to be like split here and here, not so good. Yeah, master is also. I mean, like I said, you know, I don't know what's the best. I've seen people. I think you have master, right? And, yeah, and most of the people that I know just go directly to big companies, and that's totally fine.
I would say, any advice for somebody who either just started a PhD or who's thinking about starting a PhD?
Perseverance and like I mean, it's like such a fancy word. I know, that's what came to my mind. You know, it's like it's like waking up like for 5 years, you know, and being in like I'm gonna go down to the lab, 18 degrees, you know, dark, walk there till the evening.
Oh shoot!
It takes something, you know, and it takes to be. Sometimes it takes to not feel your body, you know, to feel that you're out of yourself. You just do things somewhat
just in like
automatically.
Autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot. Yeah, disengage from anything. So my advice, like, you know, perseverance. Keep pushing for things. That's what science do. Keep pushing for boundaries. Be patient. You know. I'm not gonna say don't get disappointed because you're gonna get disappointed. I got disappointed. Yeah, I remember one Friday I came here, you know, and broke my sample that I spent so much time to fabricate. You
just
know.
By accident?
Yeah, I just I can't remember. I can't remember what happened. You know, I just found it broken. Maybe during while I was cleaning it or something, and I was like, I'm quitting. I'm not gonna continue.
Really?
Yeah, it was a Friday morning, man. Like,
you know the exact day and everything. It was on a.
It was almost 2 years ago. It was on a Friday. Yeah, I remember this because of some club activities that we had, you know, on Friday, and I didn't go yet because and everybody was messaging me, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna respond to anyone." And I was like, "I'm quitting." Man, I used the sample, and with this sample, I produced my best paper.
Wait. The broken sample?
The broken sample, yeah. I kind of find a way to kind of use it even half broken, you know?
Really?
And produce my best paper that I have right now.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's like...
That's what kept you going?
So, yeah, that's what kept me going. I think maybe what I would say is like push forward like, against all odds, you know, against like all this... Whatever, you're gonna have accidents, things not gonna work out. You might have problems with colleagues, you know, in the lab. You need to push.
Yeah.
The post, like there's no space for if you start on this, you know, and you're 100% on this, there's no space for this.
It seems like every PhD student that I've talked to, they've all had a moment like that.
Yeah.
Where they were like, it's funny because almost everyone, they were like, I was going through the first few years and then something happened. Either, you know, they had maybe an issue with the lab, the PI, or maybe they just lost their interest, and they said, I spent a week literally thinking, am I gonna leave? And then some people will say, well, I'm too far, let me just finish. Some people will say I'm acting foolish, or they'll have some new enlightenment.
Yeah.
But that seems like I wouldn't be surprised if there was just like a trend of like PhD life, enthusiastic, disappointment, gonna quit, perseverance, and graduation.
Thanks for asking this, because I actually want to share this, and I remember the first couple of years when I came here,
Yeah.
I had the attitude, I even told my professor, even if I fail the PhD, I wouldn't mind, I still felt like that took a lot of things from here.
A lot of education.
A lot of education, to where I came here, exposure, meeting people, international from all around the world. And I had minimum exposure to foreigners, when I was in Greece, I had no idea about most of the social problems that are out there, honestly. And getting to that, I was feeling that I'm gonna be happy even if I fail my PhD.
That's a good mindset.
Yeah.
That's a good mindset.
Not so good towards the middle or the end, and then towards the end, I'm like, hey, hold on a second. Why did you even come here? If it's like spend like 4 years to 5 years of your life and end up with no PhD, it doesn't matter, Then you just wasted your time. What's the point of this?
I get it.
So that time I was in the end of the 4th year, that Friday that I was telling you, And then after that, I said, you know what? Even if I have to stay in this lab for another 3 years doing stuff, I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna go back home and tell to my family, I just chilled there for years and I didn't make it. And I realized that you cannot be average to what you're doing. You have to be the best, and that's what makes you the best. I think is to fall 7 to raise 8. As is the
dude. This is motivational, man.
Japanese.
Dude.
Man, absolutely, I'm telling you. And right now, I just told you 2 days ago, I just submitted my thesis. I'm incredible by the energy that I found inside me to sleep like for 2 months, almost to sleep, to be with 4 hours of sleep, and wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna sit now down for the next 16 hours and type and do the things.
Nice.
You see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's like, there's no way I'm gonna back up on this, And even now I'm thinking, because thoughts are coming, and I'm like, man, what if my examiners fail me? What if they find the chapters insufficient, or like not enough data, or I'm just done crazy things.
You're a smart dude, man. I don't think you're gonna.
Yeah, and I'm like, being in the end, being so tired, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna go back to the lab and I'm gonna do it again. Whatever it takes to finish this. And it's just, you see how I start, with what mentality I start and how I kind of put myself into be the best in what you're doing. And I hope I'm not. I hope that doesn't sound any arrogant. It's just. I just my perspective is like, do it perfect. Whatever you do it perfect. Or what's the point of doing it at all?
I like that. That's good motivation. I feel like there's somebody out there, especially if they're in the middle of their PhD, if they're going through that moment where they're like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to hear other people's stories about how they also went through that. And then they also persevered. Yeah. And I'm sure there's somebody in every single institution going through whatever PhD who was thinking of giving up. And just hearing somebody else's story of just push through, another hour, another day, another month.
Yeah.
Just to get to that light.
And I mean, even in this, there's a balance, for example, I feel blessed in some things that just happen to me easily, But if you have a problem with your PI, for example, that's a problem, and you cannot suffer on this. I don't know what you can do in that cases, So I always say that you need to push as hard as you can and find from inside the energy, but nothing worth as much as your mental health, right?
I agree.
I just don't wanna.
I agree.
Mislead people,
I agree.
Find your energy and learn your limits. That's the best thing I can say. And if you see that you have more to give, then you give it. That's the thing.
I agree wholeheartedly. I remember when I was going through my undergraduate for biomedical engineering, and in engineering school in the United States, the first 2 years is called the weed out, because they want to know who actually wants to get this degree.
Okay.
And then the second year is more of the specialized engineering. It's not as weed out as the first 2 years. And I remember, I think it was 3 specific moments in my career. Because I actually almost had I had a similar moment as kind of what you had. I almost dropped out of engineering. And that was because, you go through life thinking you're intelligent just because of all right, I did this in school, you're like, I did this, I could do this. And I remember taking this one math class, and I thought I was good at math. And I remember just absolutely just failing it. This is my first year. And I'm just like, wow. Like, am I really going to be an engineer? Is this what an engineer does? Fail math? And I remember that. And I remember actually I was in my dorm, and I was talking to my mom about it. And, she was just giving the usual encouragement, like, keep going, try your hardest. And I think that moment was where I learned in the educational sense of like what perseverance means. Of course you could persevere physically, athletics and things like that. But like when it came to mentally, like how to study, and like that's when I started triggering like, okay, I need to study for 6 hours every day. That's when that triggered. That was one thing that came through. And that's when I was like, just get it done. When it comes to mental health, like you mentioned, I've had a couple of friends in my college career, also in engineering, who were way smarter, more intelligent, better grades specifically than myself. But they didn't graduate because they burnt out and they got sent to the hospital. And that just kind of goes to show that you do need to take care of your mental health.
Yeah.
Because then you might end up just doing worse than just doing somewhat average. So I thought that was pretty wild. And then the last thing was for myself, based off that experience, I told myself, I'm going to get the work done and I'm going to, of course, do the hardest. But I know my threshold and I'm not going to risk my sanity. And I think that's an important point to know where it's at. So then you don't diminish your life.
Yeah.
So I really think for people who are doing like education on like this accelerated, high level PhD or just in anything, perseverance is actually one of those things. Do you think that's taught or do you think that's just learned?
Excellent. I was actually want to say this. No,
Yeah.
It's not. It's not something that you have inside you. I mean, some people might have it in a more level than you do, but you can certainly go through this and learn how to do this. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Also, like, you need to have a plan, and you need to. I mean, people would call it as a soft skill, I guess, right? But it's really like a.
It's a hard skill.
Like soft. Maybe it's like a soft hard skill.
It's not a technical skill, but it's an important soft skill. Yeah. That's for sure.
And I think you learn this. You learn this. You learn how to work like 16 hours a day. You learn how to not waste your time in social media, and actually do something productive. You learn the time allocation that you're telling me earlier.
Very important.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the difference between people who, like, we both had this moment? I could either stop or I could either persevere and push. We chose to persevere and push. Why?
Yeah.
Why didn't we say, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to just go the other way. And then, some people do go that route. What's the difference, you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know, honestly. Pride, maybe. Ambition. For me, it was also like I remember one of my first international friend that I met. It was a person from Indonesia, and it was in my third year. I went for a summer school in Strasbourg, in France.
Okay.
And that person was there, the guy from Indonesia, and I was shocked by his simplicity, and by his. He told me once when he left from Indonesia to go. He was studying in Sweden. His parents told me, "Don't come back without your master's."
Ooh. Is that a threat or is that motivation?
No. Sorry, I don't think it was a threat. It was more like in the sense of make us proud.
Got you.
Make
Okay.
us like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people have it like a threat.
Yeah. No. It was nothing. It was nothing like this. So to me, it was like a shock, and I carry these nice words and nice thoughts that I get through my life. Yeah, it's. I don't know, man. Maybe some people are just like I said, can put up with difficulties easier than others. No matter. I mean, I can suffer sleepless, whatever. And I'm gonna be okay. I find certain mechanisms to back up on this, and refresh myself anyway. Support from the environment is important, imagine, for example, thinking that nobody would care if I continue or if I fail, so why would I continue, But if you have like your family, your friends around to support you, to give you strength, you know, to be like, okay, I'm gonna do something for them, you know, I'm gonna do something for a better future, you know. That's what I think, but I can't say anything for sure, you know, but I don't wanna, you know, obviously both of these things, whatever you're gonna choose is respectable, and it's up to you, and it's your life at the end of the day, right? All I'm saying is that that's what you have to do if you want to be the best, and if you want to, well, I don't know, if at least you want to have some chance to make some change in this world. That's what I hope, at least.
I like that. I feel like my reason to push forward was because of, like you said, you do want to make your family, you want to make them proud.
Yeah.
So I think specifically for me, I was trying to be a good role model to my little brother. So, you know, I wanted to be like the first engineer. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, your older brother could do it. So then, you know, maybe, you know, he ended up being an engineer too.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
You know, so that was like one motivation. And then also seeing one of my good friends was also studying engineering. And we both went to college, like, yeah, we're going to both be engineers together. So that was like another thing, like, all right, you know, like, we both said we're going to be engineers, so let me persevere, you know, that. And then I think my third motivation to push forward was that I truthfully go about life when I see these challenges. I go about life as if it's like a video game, where it's like, I want to beat this level. Right? Starting a company, in my opinion, is like playing a video game.
Okay.
Where it's like, all right, it's just like playing like one of those like real life imitation games where it's like, all right, I got to build a house and then I got to plant trees. Like, that's how I see building a company.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm just at level 2.
Okay.
And it's like, all right, I don't know. I wouldn't call that competitive, but maybe it's just more so like the gamer in me where it's like, I want to get to the next level. And I know it's possible. And the fun part is figuring out how it's possible. And that's the part that I find fun.
That's good, yeah.
So I'm curious to ask you, when you were in that moment, I know you mentioned about, you know, you didn't want to go home and say,
yeah.
What was your driving?
My personal thing, again, it might sound a bit arrogant, you know. It was like I couldn't bear the thought that most of people would have finished this PhD and I wouldn't. I'm very competitive and like in everything I make. I couldn't bear this thought. I mean that was one of the things, you know. And then I also, like, the last couple of years I got into this mentality of sort of what you also describe, of like I see everything as a challenge. And many of my actions are motivated by the what if, you know. What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I... And that's also in relationship with people, you know. I often kind of test people, you know, test my friend, my people around me, you know, like... I might say sometimes borderline offensive things to, you know, to kind of see, like, okay, that's interesting. For me as yeah, I mean...
You're out here offending people?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that has put me in and out of troubles many times, you know, but... I kind of like, I mean, okay, I want to learn something from these people, you know, or like about you know, how people think, how people experience things, and so on, in some sense. And I have to apologize from everyone that I hurt with my words. I hope they listen to this. Thanks for bringing this up.
Jesus, what we're talking about. Yeah, I get you.
So I think that was it, you know. I'm very competitive, like I said, my competitive spirit, you know, the fact that someone else would do better than me. That's a thought I cannot bear, and that's not nice. I have to admit, you know, oftentimes it's not nice.
Why is it not nice?
Well, because you always end up comparing yourself with others.
Oh, so the comparison more so than competition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you have one without the other? Especially when you lose, when someone is like better than you in something, you're like, oh, then you automatically compare. I think like, she did something better than me.
But there's a healthy competition.
Yeah, maybe. But I want to win. That's my that's my problem. You know, that's the thing.
Like, let's say me and you were like competing to be like, I don't know. Let's say we're just competing to be the best entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Let's say we're both starting a company. Company A, company B. We're both selling bread.
Okay.
You know, and then we're like, you know, we're friends, but at the same time, like, when I see you working at midnight, I'm like, let me work at midnight too. I mean, like, I would say that's like, I mean, yeah, it's a form of comparison, but like,
I guess that's
Right?
I guess
I feel like comparison could be used as a tool.
absolutely. That's sometimes I cannot use it properly. That's my problem. I cannot use it properly. And I'm like, yeah. You're right. I have to learn on this. And I have to, and I feel I do steps in this direction. But it's always better when you kind of talk with someone.
Just, when you hear it out loud, it's like it's not too bad. But that's interesting. That's actually one thing I try to ask a lot of my friends, kind of like how you say you kind of offend your friends.
Yeah.
I ask them, like, whether if it's at a job or about one of their passions, I ask them typically, why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. And, at first they might just give you a very shallow answer, like, oh, because I need money.
Uh-huh.
But then I'm like, all right, let me rephrase this question. Like, what drove you to this position? Why here? Why not over there? And then when you start really understanding why people do things, whether, like, for myself, I said about, family, friends, like for you, you want to be the best. When you start getting these answers from people, first, it really helps you understand who they really are.
Yeah.
And it really does shed a lot of light on just human nature, I feel like. And it I don't know why, but I actually just enjoy, like, understanding people in that way.
Yeah.
Like, going to, like, a lot of my PhD friends, I asked them, like, so why in the world are you putting yourself through this? Some of them are like, well, I don't know. I would just say, a lot of them do say, I don't know. Well, I'm like, but I know because if you didn't know, that's not enough motivation to do this. PhD takes a lot of work and motivation, I feel.
That's an optimistic way to see it, but I also feel like many people, as I was for quite a big part, we're kind of lost, We don't know sometimes why we do things. We just do things because it's a natural evolution of something. Like for someone who goes into, he's good at, because I was good student at school, I was the best student at school because I was like
you were like the valedictorian number one?
Yeah. So
okay, I got you.
We carry the flag, the Greek flag in there. Yeah, I was one of the best at the university,
Gotcha.
And then you go into this, and you go. I'm one of the best. I think you here in PhD, given like the papers production, scholarship like that. So you go into this, and like, it's easy for you, but doesn't mean it's the optimum. Like the natural, most like when I was at school, people were encouraging me to go to the theoretical sciences, like ancient Greek, because I was good at this. When I was in the university, people were encouraging me to go to the US because they have a good university there. I came to Japan. When I'm coming here now, people encourage me to apply for professional positions, not even postdocs because I have a very good CV. But I'm not interested at all in academia, So,
wow.
So I'm like, so the thing is that there is a natural, usually, evolution of how's the flow of something, going to the academic path, for example. And that's easy to follow. And then if you ask someone, why do you do a PhD? I don't know if there's a very noble reason why they do a PhD. As it was the same for me. Like I said, I just started PhD because I was curious and because that was the path that it was new. It was known to me and it was more comfortable to walk on.
Okay.
But then now I'm like, come on, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go out like what you did, go to the unknown world of innovation, entrepreneurship, go to the unknown, out of the path. So sometimes we just do things without really realizing, but I think the goal should be to always be conscious of what you're doing at the moment, that will basically make you realize your mistakes or like what you should do next or like so. But yeah, why people do PhDs? I don't know. Do you think all of these want to become professors? Because then why would you do a PhD right in the first place, for example?
Yeah. I've heard some people say that, like you said, it's just, I was good at school.
Yeah.
So it just made sense.
Yeah.
But one thing that I heard this phrase once, I forgot who I heard it from, but it was something along the lines of, you have what you're good at and you have what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, somebody will pay you to do something you don't want to do because you're good at it. And they said that is probably one of the worst positions to be in.
Okay.
Because you're good at something that you hate doing. but somebody pays you to stay there. And it's kind of like a trap because you're doing it just because you're good at it, not because you want to.
Yeah.
And he was kind of going to this idea of like, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you belong there. Now, of course, there's different like ways to navigate it, especially when it comes to like getting money and things of that nature. But I think this person was talking about like engineers specifically, saying just because you're a good engineer, if you want to be a baker, you need to really think about this, because somebody's going to pay you a lot of money to stay in this position that you hate because you're good at it, and you're going to resent maybe that person, or you're going to resent your life as this dream of yours is slowly disappearing, and you just start to forget about it. So I feel like that's just one trap that I remember specifically thinking about as I was going through my collegiate career. And I was at a turning point when I was in LA before I moved to Japan about, do I get a big boy engineering job, make my money, but it would probably be a career that I'm not too crazy for, or do I follow my dream? And I think this is around the time where I heard this. And that's actually a big reason why I chose to come to Japan.
Yeah.
Was because I didn't want to have this regret of being stuck somewhere doing something that I'm good at that I didn't want to do, while always looking out the window thinking like, oh, what if?
Yeah, tough decisions. That's what if. That's what I said before. And that's what if kind of drives me the most significant. Because you took me back to when I got the offer from the university, and I was thinking whether I'm going to accept it or not for a PhD. For someone who grew up like in a small town, and specifically in a village, actually, it was like it wasn't an easy decision to make, right? And then a friend of me told me, hey, you know what? When you don't know which path to take the path that you're afraid the most.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Man, shoot, dude, that just threw me in a loop.
Yeah. And it's like,
sheesh.
Wow.
Sheesh. Okay, I gotta think about that one.
I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do like that one. Why didn't you want to accept the offer?
So, because it was too far away from everything, I mean, I had family back. I had like I said, there was someone who had just done like 2 trips abroad for like 10 days, let's say.
Yeah.
Like living on your own, like 5 years in the other side of the world, in Okinawa, it's like isolated place and everything.
It's different.
So many parameters, right? So many like unknowns there that it's just risk,
What do you think you would have been doing if you didn't accept the offer?
So I had got a scholarship to go into a master's program in my university, into the nanotechnology master's program.
You think you'll be in industry right now?
Probably, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
But no. Hey, don't take me wrong. I don't regret.
Yeah. I get you.
I don't regret this. That's the thing. Yeah.
I like that.
At least the way I said it was a difficult thing to come into here. And here I am. Almost about to finish, hopefully, and then life pays you back for whatever you do, right? You invest in something, you're gonna get something back.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
So, any regrets or no?
No. I mean, regrets is only like in the level of human interaction sometimes,
Okay.
Like I said, I've said things. I heard people, things like this. But I'm hoping that I'm learning from this. That's all. Nothing about my actions towards my professional career. No.
Nice. No, this has actually been a really great conversation.
Yeah.
This is actually very enlightening. So, to end every podcast, I ask everybody the same question. And for you, I want to ask, as the future moves forward, what is one thing that you are looking forward to and hoping for the human species? And it could be anything. What's one thing you're looking forward to or hoping for?
It will be to lift up every single person from poverty.
Ooh.
That's too much, man. But I don't know. That's and I see this connected with everything, with environmental crisis. You will not be able to treat environmental crisis if you don't treat people who they just burn anything because they just cannot warm up in the winter.
Yeah.
you cannot treat like you cannot fix financial problems, and you cannot fix like inflation, you cannot fix malnutrition, whatever, if you have people starving.
Got you.
I don't know if it's like a bit too far-fetched. I maybe want something more specific, but that's what I see, and that's what I have in mind, like for forever. I don't know, for like for since I've been seeing homeless people in the streets, and obviously there are countries like Africa, like India, countries that are like just you pay a visit in this place and you just realize how blessed we are and how privileged we are and how different things are.
Yes, that is true. No, I'm actually surprised you gave a really good like quick answer. I feel like a lot of people they like ponder.
No. That's
it seems like it's very sincere to you.
That's the thing, and I honestly, we talk about quantum, talk about space. That's fantastic. That's amazing. These things create opportunities for people to be educated. That's amazing. But if still increase this gap between these two worlds, I feel like it just takes something from the glory of inventing things. If you still have people dying out there.
I got you.
And so I guess like science for the human and not science for science.
I like that. Science for humans and not science for science. Yeah. I think that's a good motto. Okay. Thanks, Theo. I think that was actually really great.
Thanks a lot, man. I hope we didn't diverge too much from the topic of your the podcast that you want to have, and I hope it's useful to anyone who's gonna listen to this, and they're not too much confused because you cannot mixed up a bit.
I told you, it's one of those things you just can't understand.
Yeah.
Unless you're a PhD.
No, it was fantastic, man. It was fantastic. It's been like the time already.
Yeah, it went by quick.
Yeah.
So, all right, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
That was the end of an episode of the Estelle Ingenuity Podcast. Hope you learned something new and innovative and were left inspired to go create and invent new ideas for the betterment of society. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the Estelle Ingenuity Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for more stories and experiences from people in the field and to hear about new up-and-coming technology. Thank you for listening and see you in the next podcast episode.